See, the high tank toilet is still in progress. The chain's maybe a little long, I need to cut that, but the bowl is down and the tank is on. There's the mount behind it. You literally got to lean back there to see it, so I got that situated perfectly to where, and painted to where you don't even notice it unless you look for it. But I have a little snafu on the fittings. There's these decorative nuts, I'll show you. That is a supplier issue. Thinking I was doing something wrong, but I got with the supplier, I'm rolling out the sheet to walk on here so I'm not walking on my floor. But this is called the decorative brass, chrome-plated brass nut, and it is supposed to go all the way up and thread onto the flush valve and then make contact with the porcelain to hide this non-decorative nut on the bottom. And it just doesn't do it. It bottoms out on these threads. The threads are too deep, and they have a replacement or in the process of making a spacer, a decorative spacer piece of metal to take up that gap. And they also have the same problem over here. You can see the nylon fitting and the decorative cap. They have a big spacer that goes over that. That they do have in stock, and they're mailing it to me. But can you believe they don't even have an ETA on the spacer for here? So I'm kind of at a standstill. They're aware of it and working on it, but just one of those things. So I am a little disappointed in the orange color. It's a very orange oak. That's a little more orange than what I like, so I don't know if there's something I'm going to do about that. I am getting the toilet seat to match. I do have just a white, cheap white plastic one that came with it, but I don't know. That's just, it's not terrible, but it is, you can see it is more orange than I prefer than what I thought it was in the pictures. I'm kind of at a standstill with the toilet, unfortunately, but nothing major. It'll, as soon as I get the part, it'll go pretty quick. There's the high tank toilet. I got the flush tube mounted, and I painted that wood piece in the back the same color as the logs, and boy, it turned out really good. Got a white toilet seat, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but when I painted it, I kind of left some mild, purposely ran some like brush strokes on the top of it and the sides too, to kind of give it a little bit of a wood grain look, so it didn't just look like a painted piece of metal or something. And it turned out pretty good. The toilet seat, I got these high chrome hinges, and they're really big. I kind of like them because they kind of contrast with the big faucet. You really notice them because they're so big, and they're that's the self-closing. It's like a hydraulic. So if you drop the lid, see, it slowly goes down. It doesn't slam. Pretty neat. Same with the top. It just really slowly goes down and does not slam and bang around. So that turned out pretty neat. So I'm just waiting. Oh, and there's, I put that new valve in. You see now that decorative nut goes all the way up to the porcelain, real nice. See? So I'm still waiting on the spacer piece for the chrome nut to go on here for the water tube that goes all the way down to my valve, my shutoff valve. So that's the only part I'm waiting on. So coming along, looks good. Bathroom appliances progress. The tub is totally done. Here's the timber trim for the interior doorway. I just got it sitting in here on a couple pieces of foam to keep them out of the weather because it's kind of rainy today, and it just took up too much room in the garage, so I just set them in here. But all the appliances are done. The tub, there's the pull chain toilet. I'll show you more detail on that in a second. There's the pedestal sink. It's a little orange space heater I got in here for cold nights. There's the mirror. So there's the pull chain toilet, totally finished. I'll show you some of the features. So I finally got the spacer to deal with this issue, the gap that was here. And this is basically a piece of chrome pipe that I cut to length. All they did was send me a length of pipe. It wasn't even the correct size, so I had to cut that and measure it precisely so it would fill up that space, but it looks really good. Turned out really good. And so this is the water supply line. It's like a 3/8 inch water supply line, and a wall mount just to kind of secure it. And then this is a compression fitting to splice two lengths of pipe, because they didn't give me very much pipe, so I actually used the rigid pipe that came with the tub that you don't really see. I ended up using that to cut to length for the supply line, and it just fit right down the back of it. I actually had to do with a pipe bender some very minor, I mean you can't even tell, they're just barely a little bit of a bend, so that these two pipes would line up perfectly for the compression fitting to splice the two together. There's copper compression fittings. You tighten both opposing directions at the same time, and you really wrenched on them pretty hard. Actually, I kept testing it with turning on the water valve when I first turned it on, and I got some leaks. The top leaked and the bottom, and then eventually the top, as I tightened it, no longer leaked, but the bottom was slightly leaking, and I just kept tightening, and finally neither of them leaked anymore. Being inexperienced in how much you need to torque those, it took several turns of nervous tightening, worrying that I might strip or something, but never did. It just eventually got it tight enough to where I kept turning the water on and off and testing it, and then finally it stopped. So that was kind of an ordeal and something I've really never done before. But so there it is, a pretty tank, and there's went with a white lid, real heavy wood white lid with these large chrome fixtures here, these hinges, and it's kind of like a hydraulic type hinge where you can drop the lid and it doesn't slam, it just goes down real slow like that. And so I'll give her a flush. Let's see, I'll try to hold it back. Here's the chain. There you have it. Flushes with pretty good power on the flush with all the gravity of the water falling, I think. So that's it.